the league right now is Ish Smith in wins versus Ish Smith in losses. When they win games, Ish Smith shoots 53% from the floor and 41 from three. He's a +9 in those wins. When Ish Smith can't make shots, when he comes off the bench and only shoots 32% from the floor and 23 from three, they lose games. And it's about a 12.5-point swing. And when you're that dependent on Ish Smith, it may not bode terribly well for how far into the playoffs you can go, but it means that right now, because he's going to play hard every moment he's on the court, he's able to raise your level in these games.
Based on salary, it should be Reggie Jackson who's maybe that stat barometer for the team, not Ish Smith.
Well, I think if you go back to last season, just realize why Detroit was such a disappointment. It's Reggie Jackson not being able to be available for the number of games that they need him. When he played, they were good. When he didn't play, they had a hard time winning. It's as simple as that.
Listen, sometimes it's not about the salary. You can throw salary out the window. You have to, if you're in the business of trying to win basketball games, you have to play the best players, the people that give you the best opportunity to win. And in that case, it is Ish Smith on a lot of nights because he plays hard, because he's willing to defer at times to Blake. And sometimes Reggie doesn't want to do that. So you can't always say, well, this guy makes $15 million, this guy makes $2 million, so I'm not playing. And if you do that, you'll lose a lot of basketball games.
Czar, it's like the Pistons are a new team this year. They made 16 threes on Wednesday. They have 10 or more threes in 7 consecutive games. That is a team record. Where's all this three-point shooting coming from?
Interesting. They're 28th in the league in three-point field goal percentage. So suddenly their coach, who, when he was in Toronto, was accused of not shooting enough threes, now has gotten the message across, giving them a little bit more green light. Better spacing out there, particularly with those two big guys, because once they miss, this team is second in the league in offensive rebound, so those two studs go after the ball, get it, and give them second shot opportunities.
Czar, great point. Now, let's move on to the nightcap. 10:30 at Staples Center. It'll be the Jazz, the struggling Jazz, at the Los Angeles Lakers, who are rolling. They have won 8 out of 10. They've won 3 in a row at home. And I'm curious, I want all three of you guys to answer this. Is this about Magic Johnson kind of lighting a spark under this team? Is this about the addition of Tyson Chandler, or is this just the greatness of LeBron James to get LA back on track?
Well, it might be the combination of all three. I certainly think the acquisition of Tyson Chandler was enormous because it made it so that they always had a defensive presence in the paint on the court. When they were playing a lineup that featured LeBron at the 5 and sometimes maybe even Kuzma at the 5, they weren't able to stop anybody from scoring in the paint. And I believe gave up 68 points in the paint in the game before Tyson Chandler got there. So I think he's had a really big impact on that. I also think he's had a big impact on their ability to rebound and get out in transition. And this team, unlike Houston, wants to play at incredible pace.
What would you like to know, Mr. Gamble?
Well, so I'll be honest with you, full transparency. I am looking for one of you to take the bait on the Magic Johnson, Luke Walton thing. You don't have to, but I mean, did it not kind of coincide with all that drama and the Lakers kind of starting to catch fire?
I don't think that's the case, though. I could be wrong, but in the NBA locker rooms I've been around, I've never had guys say, you know what, man, let's just win this for Coach tonight. Like that's maybe sometimes
that didn't go on.
No, that doesn't happen, Coach.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Coach. Probably didn't happen back in the day.
So none of his almost 700 wins came because of that. None of them.
Like, guys want to compete. Guys want to win for all types of reasons. Guys want to win because they love playing. Guys want to win because they want to win championships. Some guys want to win because they want big money and contracts. But I've never seen a group of guys be like, you know what? Coach is on the hot seat. Let's go out there and win 7 in a row. I just haven't really run into that in my 14 years. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I've never really seen that. So I think that the Magic Johnson, Luke Walton thing is something that we can talk about. I think it's good for TV, but I don't think it holds much credence in that locker room. I think it has more to do with LeBron playing excellent, Tyson Chandler being brought in, and guess what? This team's slowly but surely starting to learn how to play with King James. It's an adjustment period.
Well, and King James has the ball. One of the biggest changes when everybody came back from the suspension was that Rondo's coming off the bench, and LeBron has the ball more in that first unit. And he is incredibly efficient as a ball-dominant play creator. So it's similar, again, to what we were talking about with Houston, and you mentioned this. When Melo's off the court, they're now infinitely more efficient offensively, and he took a lot of the blame for their defensive woes. But the reality is his touches offensively were not as efficient as James Harden's. And LA has that exact same situation. As good as Rondo can be, he's not as efficient with the ball in his hand as LeBron can be.
All right, let's talk about these Utah Jazz. Czar, they come into this game 8-10. Are you sitting down for this? 13th in the West. 13th. A lot of people thought they'd be second or third. They're the exact opposite. And last season, Czar, they were number one in fewest points allowed at 99.8. This year, 11th at 109.1. Where's the D in Utah?
I think part of the problem with the defense is the fact that, again, this team was trying to play too fast, too quickly at the offensive end of the floor. It's amazing, boy, the copycat league that if everybody's running up and down, then you need to run up and down, except it doesn't fit to every team. Some teams are put together and made to play at a certain pace, a certain tempo. And Utah was one of those. They execute better. They are more efficient. They can go back at the defensive end and dig in because they have the energy to do it. They're not caught in transition all the time. They get to the foul line, which stops the clock, and then they can go back and defend. That all wasn't there in the beginning of the year, so it wasn't the same Utah team that we saw being so good in the playoffs last year.
It is always dramatic when you have LeBron James and the Lakers on national TV. That's what's up. 10:30 tonight. Just put the remote down and leave it where it is. We've got all the hoops for you here on NBA TV. And when we come back on the Auto Trader pregame highlights, among the best in the West, the Clips and the Grizz, this baby went to OT.